Hi there. Welcome back. Guess what we're talking about today? We're talking about thumbnails. So, let's get to it. If you've ever heard the old adage, it takes 1,000 hours to become a master, or, something of that effect, if I got it right, anyways, doing thumbnail sketches could get you to that almighty magical number so much faster. Hear me out. Thumbnails can help you get much better faster, much faster. Not to mention that it can help you build up your creative muscles by allowing you to make more art in a shorter period of time by doing these little quick, simple, messy, explorative thumbnail sketches. Thumbnails can just be a way to figure out your drawing or painting, or it can be a way for you to flesh out ideas stuck in your head, or you could just doodle and scribble with it, right? It's just a fun way, small little canvas. You're excluding details. You're focusing more on like the composition of things, how things look. If you have an idea and you want to work it out, thumbnails. You want to do months and months worth of drawing and painting and composition work in just a couple days or less. That's right. Thumbnails. Thumbnails, 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 right? So that being said, what are thumbnails? What are thumbnail sketches? Thumbnails are small drawings or paintings that focus on the major aspects of your piece. It's helpful to know what might happen in your painting before you're 20, 30 hours in and you're like, oh, I don't know if I like this, I want to change this, I want to change that. You want to have that stuff worked out beforehand, right? At this stage, there's a couple things you probably want to do. Work out any problems you might come across later. This means figuring out what kind of lighting, pose, composition, and so on that you want. Think of this part of the thumbnail like a roadmap, right? You're planning out what you want to, what roads you want to take, where you want to stop, that kind of thing, right? The second thing you want to do is thumbnails is that they allow you to make a lot of art, and again in a very short period of time, because you're not focusing on details. You're not trying to make it look pretty. You're just trying to get that idea down and make it also be readable, right? When doing thumbnail sketches, you don't want to spend too much time on it. It shouldn't be perfect. You're exploring your ideas. You want to see what sticks, what you like, what you don't like, what works and what don't work. So now let's move on to how do you do thumbnail sketches? Well, there's a couple things. Well, like anything in art, there really isn't a must do and must not do. Everything's kind of like guidelines for better results, if you will. So for thumbnails, start small. Pick a size that's comfortably enough that you can see what you're doing, but not so large that you get distracted and want to put in details. Everything needs to be perfect, right? It's just that you want to find that sweet spot between a small enough size that it forces you to focus on the major aspects of the piece, like composition, color, light, that kind of thing, but large enough that you're just not making a blob. You just got to figure out what works for you. There are no set dimensions for thumbnails. Some are smaller and some are a little bit bigger. Again, like everything in art, you guys gotta find what works for you. You gotta find that sweet spot. Thumbnails shouldn't be precious pieces of art. They should be disposable. If something isn't working or you don't like it, don't hesitate to change it. Don't hesitate to toss it. Start fresh again. That's the whole point of like a thumbnail. If you're spending 10, 15 minutes up to maybe 30 minutes or 45 minutes on a thumbnail piece, it's a lot easier to go, okay, this doesn't work, and either change it completely around or just toss it and start over again, than it is to do that with a piece that's, say, 20, 30, 40 hours or more in. That's really tough. And like, if you've been drawing or painting for any period of time, or hell, making any kind of art, you're going to run into times when if something's just not working, either one part of the piece or the piece as a whole just doesn't work, but you also spend so much time on it that you don't want to toss it out. You don't want to throw away all that work. and it's painful, but sometimes you just got to do it for the sake of like getting the idea out, or learning. So don't be afraid to be messy, don't be afraid to be experimental. Like, it's a good, with thumbnails, it's a good place for you to try out techniques and colors and mark making that you normally wouldn't do, or you would find uncomfortable. Play around. If you gravitate toward more of a realistic style, but you want to try something like, maybe you want to try stylized art or something a little bit more graphic, manga, anime style, that kind of thing, this is where you can experiment with that. That's the beautiful part of a thumbnail. And look, it's a bonus. If it's ugly, it's probably good as well, right? That's a good thing. And if you're working digital, you can always just take that thumbnail sketch, blow it up to the size that you want, or copy it to another canvas, and then just either draw on top of that or get a new layer and just work from there. You don't have to start over unless obviously if you're working traditionally, you do have to start over. Be messy, be experimental. That's the point of thumbnails. If it comes out good, that's a win. But if it doesn't, hopefully you've learned something either way, and you just move on. You move on to the next drawing. You're only as good as the last thing that you drew or painted. Take whatever positive from it. Came out good. Wow, okay, great. Take that, maybe you turn it into a better piece, or you apply that to a different drawing later on. If it doesn't, okay, what did I learn from it? These colors work good together, these don't work together. I like this, I don't like that, so on and so on, right? But at the end of the day, there are really no rules when it comes to thumbnail or in general. You just have to figure out what works for you, what you like and what you don't like. That's thumbnails. Like, I hope this helped a little bit. Thumbnails can be fun. They can take the pressure off of you from, having to get anatomy and perspective and all these things right. It can just be like a good anywhere from like 5 minutes up to maybe an hour on something that may or may not go anywhere. Have fun with thumbnails. Be experimental. Be messy. Try new things. Just don't be too precious with it. That's thumbnails.
I wish I knew.